how to ask, because, there is a lot of stigma among people, especially business people, about asking for help. It's like, if I have to ask other people, I'm not professional, I'm uneducated, ignorant, stupid. There's so many negative adjectives that come along with asking somebody else for help, even online, which is better nowadays than it was before so many people were working and doing business online. But even now, there's still a hang-up when people have that. So I've come up with this expression, which I think has helped a lot of people, and I hope if your listeners pay attention to nothing else I've said today, this is one thing I want them to remember. When you refuse to ask, you rob the other person of the joy they would have gotten from helping you.
That's true.
There are so many people out there who have talent, skills, education. They've spent years, if not decades, becoming the person they are now. And they would just love it if somebody would come along and go, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have a clue. I would really appreciate your help. Would you help me? And there are just so many people out there who have what you need. You just have to decide that there's nothing negative or embarrassing about asking. And I find that once people start to think about it from the other person's point of view, as opposed to thinking about it from their ego point of view, that it becomes something they get better at.
Yeah, and the important point that you just mentioned there, the ego, otherwise known as our pride.
Yes.
If we let our pride get in the way, then we're going to shortchange ourselves from lots of opportunities. And I do like the saying that you mentioned, because what everyone should be doing, I feel, in business is we should all be servants. We're all put here on this earth to affect change in the world and those around us. Our job is to take the gifts and talents that we're given by our Creator and bless other people with those gifts and talents. And if we're not able to ask for help from other people, we're depriving them, as you say, from the ability to use those gifts and talents. So, you're doing a disservice for not only yourself, but the other person.
Yeah. How many times have you seen somebody just get a big smile because they did something, even something minor, for another person who, as I like to say, can do nothing but say thank you?
Yeah, and it's like the saying goes, it's not the things that you do when everybody's watching that gives you character or gives you the biggest reward. It's the things that you do when nobody's watching. And I just really enjoy, even those opportunities where you see somebody doing something, they don't think that you see it, but they're still doing it.
Yeah,
that's the ones I love seeing, is when they're doing it and they don't think they have an audience.
Yeah, that is cool.
So, what would you say is your greatest weakness, though, Max?
I'm very disorganized. I'm very unscheduled. I have difficulty staying on tasks. While I don't think of myself as having the shiny object syndrome, because I associate that with people who spend lots of money on the next shiny object, I sometimes do have the shiny object syndrome when it comes to opportunities. So I could be much more predictable, regimented, scheduled, and I do my best. But I think the important thing is, at this point in my life, I know who I am, and in a lot of cases, I just have to decide, okay, what is really important to me, and how can I make sure that I get that done? One of the things I recently did, as an example, is I used to record my podcast in video and audio, and I would post the video to YouTube, and then I would post the audio to a podcasting platform. And it got to the point where no matter which podcasting platform I used, it was like pulling teeth to do it with a screen reader. And I decided, Max, this is making you to the point where you don't want to record episodes or post them. So I said, just because everybody else is on iTunes and Stitcher and Google Play, it says you have to be. So I stopped posting the audio, and now I just post the video. I feel much more joy about the whole process, which means I record more often, I post more often, and I share more often.
Yep. So kind of an interesting question here. Each of us have our place that we go to for our creative ideas. It's sometimes, people go out to nature and spend some time outdoors to get their ideas, their creative juices flowing, or maybe a special place in their house or what have you. Is there a special place that you go to get all of your ideas?
I don't really have a special place. I have gotten good ideas while riding my bike that doesn't go anywhere. I've gotten good ideas in my shower, getting a good steam. I've before we lost my buddy Penny, I used to get good ideas by petting that stupid crazy dog for hours on end. It seemed like a lot of times I get good ideas by just deciding not to try to have an idea. Sometimes the best ideas come when you go, okay, I know it's 3:00 in the afternoon, but I'm going to queue up a book, or I'm going to watch a TV episode, or I'm going to watch a sporting event. I'm just not going to think about this particular problem for the next hour and see what my mind comes up with. And sometimes, just letting it, you can't do it all day naturally, but sometimes just letting it roam free and not trying to pressure your brain to come up with that next brilliant idea is a good way to find those ideas.
Yeah, there's some truth to that, because when you're so stressed about trying to come up with a solution, sometimes it's better just to turn it off and let those answers come in their own time.
Yeah, and one thing I will tell people about your reading material or the media that you take in, I know that a lot of people feel like when they're trying to solve a problem or when they're trying to improve their lives, that they should be reading self-help books, or they should be reading biographies or history or something that will educate them in some way. Well, I've come to the conclusion that there are times when, just like your body would rather have a Snickers than something that's good for you, sometimes your mind just needs a good Tom Clancy or John Grisham or Robert B. Parker, if you can find one you haven't read yet.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good point. So for our last question here, it's what I find is sometimes one of my favorite questions, and for my guests, they find sometimes it's not their favorite one. It's kind of a trivia question. Here. What's something about you, Max, that nobody really knows? Kind of that trivia thing there.
Well, I would say one thing that most people don't realize, but they should know because it's in my bio, is that I'm one of the few totally blind Eagle Scouts, which is a difficult enough thing to accomplish with complete sight, but to do it with less than legally blind level of vision is an impressive accomplishment that I'm proud of. So that's one thing, but it's in my bio. So hey, that kind of makes this question a little more difficult for me, because there's so little that isn't online or that I haven't mentioned in a previous interview. I mean, I'm serious. Most people, I'm sure, have at least one secret they haven't told anybody yet, but I'm not sure if I do.
Yeah, that's why I love asking it, because most people do have that one, I don't want to say skeleton in the closet, but that one thing that they don't tell people about, which I try to milk out of them.
Yeah. Here's what I will say. I love to sing more than I will usually admit to. And at some point in the future, I would love to be able to sing on the stage at the Grand Ole Opry or in front of one of the major landmarks in New York City, like the 9/11 Memorial or something. Those are, a couple of things that I will admit to here that I have never admitted to before, because they just sound too much like ego to me. But I do love to sing, and I do hope someday that would happen. I mean, heck, if that 10-year-old boy who started singing in the Walmart gets an invitation, it's possible for anybody,
That's right. And there's no reason to limit, the possibilities that are out there. So, we'll keep our ears out and, hope to see you, standing, standing in the Grand Ole Opry there.
Yeah, I love that. And, the dangerous thing about saying stuff like this is that when you say them, they become real. Everybody's talking about things. When you think something, it becomes something that you focus on. It's more likely to happen. But when you say something out loud and you say it in a format where it's being recorded, it becomes real. has life attached to it. And you never know where those things will come back and either surprise you or bite you in the butt. One of the other things that I often mention when people ask me this particular, say, genre of question is that I am single and I'm open to finding that crazy woman who's willing to put up with me pretty much anywhere in the world. So, that's one of those other things. If you put voice to it, sooner or later, things will happen, which is why I have a really good friend. Her name is Adriana Galvazoni. She's an author from Brazil. We've been friends for 2 years now. And she's an author, an attorney, but we don't hold her being a lawyer against her. She keeps saying, Max, your future is red carpets, red carpets, red carpets. And, of course, she's thinking book launches, speaking gigs, and someday them making a movie out of my life story, or maybe more than one movie out of my story. And so she keeps saying, Max, red carpets, red carpets, red carpets. So I have kind of made that I've made that kind of like my mantra that, whenever I have a day where something isn't going exactly the way I want it to, then I find somewhere and I just write it out or say it online somewhere. Red carpet, y'all.
Yep. Well, Max, it's been a pleasure having you on the program today. And, for those listeners out there, ladies, if you want to go to the Grand Ole Opry and be a guest Max when he's doing his debut.
Yeah. Well, y'all can start by saying hello and getting to know me through my website, theblindblogger.net, theblindblogger.net. And I love meeting new people, making new friends. So don't hesitate to just click the button and send me an email.
Sure. Well, you heard it here, folks. And as I always say, had a great day, have a great week, great weekend, and see you around the bend.